So we'll start with the second unit. So in the second unit says to us process management and mutual exclusion. So what is process? Process can be defined in several ways. A program, it can be a program in execution, or it can be an instance of a program running on the computer. The entity that can be assigned to and executed on the processor, a unit of activity characterized by the execution of a sequence of instruction, a current state, and an associated set of system resources. That's what is called as a process. So two essential elements of the process are program code and set of data. So what is this program code? Which may be shared with other processes that are executing the same program. Set of data associated with that code. So here we can see about a PCB. So what is this PCB stands for? Process control block. So what is this process control block will be having? So now every one of you have your USN to identify uniquely what is your USN number. So in the same way, here process control block will be having an identifier, a state, whether it is running or whether it is completed, is execution or what. So that's what the state will say. So then the priority, if you have a high priority, then you will be given a first chance. If you have a low priority, you have to wait. So then the priority will be given. Then program counter, what is the next instruction to be executed will be present in a program counter. And memory pointer, so where the program or where the data is. So that will be pointing in the memory, in the hard disk, that will be present in the memory pointer. Context data, so suppose if you have any data which is required for the execution of your program, so then that will be there in a context data. So then we have something called as a input output status information. Sometimes we may require some values from the keyboard or to be displayed on the output device. So then we say input output status information. Then we have one more thing called as a accounting information. So accounting, for everything we should keep track, then that is what is called as a accounting information. So next we move on. At any given point in time, while the program is executing, this process can be uniquely characterized by a number of elements, including the following: identifier, state, priority, and a program counter. So what is this identifier? So I just now told that every one of you will be having your names. So in case in a classroom, if there are two person who is having the same name, then it will be difficult. So in that case, you have your USN number. Same way here also in this, we require identifier, a unique identifier associated with this process to distinguish it from all other processes. Then what is a state? So whether it is in a running state or whether it is in a wait state or in which state it is. So that will give us a state. So if the process is currently executing, it is in the running state. So priority, if you have a high priority, then you will be given a chance for execution first than the lower priority process. In case if it is a lower priority, then we have to wait for some time. So that's what is a priority is. Then what is program counter? The address of the next instruction in the program to be executed. So what is this program counter? So the address of the next instruction, which program in a program you want to be executed will be present in a program counter. Then what is memory pointer? Includes pointer to the program code and data associated with this process, plus any memory block shared with the other process. Then context data, these are data that are present in the register in the processor which while the process is executing. An input output status information includes outstanding input output request, input output device assigned to this process, a list of files in the use by the processor, and so on. Accounting information may include the amount of processor time and a clock time used, time limits, account number, and so on. So that's what about a process control block. So what is this process control block? How the process is and how to control this. We have just seen the diagram, and along with that, these are the information related to a PCB. And we move on to the process state. So execution of the individual program in a sequence of instruction within that program. So what is this process state? So each individual program has to be executed, but how they will be executed one after the other. That's the reason we call it as a sequence. This list of instruction is known as a trace of the process. So what is this? This instruction, whatever we are doing, is called as a trace of the process. These instructions characterize the behavior of an individual processor. Then dispatcher is a small program which switches the processor from one process to another. The major responsibility of an OS is to control the execution of the process. This task involves determining the inner pattern for execution and allocating resource to the process. Here, we will consider two modes of behavior of a process. These are known as process states. So what are the process states available with the processes? There are two states for the process model. This is the simplest model and assumes that any process can be in any two states at any given point of time. So we'll be having the two states. One is running and another one is not running. Running means the program is under execution. Not running, it's still waiting. So that's what here you can see the state diagram for two states. One is running, another one is not running. So not running means it's still in the queue. It wants the processor for the execution. That's what not running and a running. So what is queuing diagram? So in this case, a separate queue will be given. So it has to wait until it gets its turn. So based on the CPU scheduling algorithms, this queue will be working. So suppose if it is first come first serve, then the first whoever comes first, whichever process comes first, that process will be executing. That's what a queuing diagram. So we can see here once if it is a time shared, suppose the in a queue the CPU scheduling algorithm is a time shared. Means after 1 hour of time, suppose the same way how we have our timetable, after 1 hour other person has to start. So then other person has to start. So only 1 hour will be given for each step. So that is what here you can see in this queuing diagram. It will enter the queue, dispatch, and the processor. Then it will exit when it will cause a pause. So in case if he has to wait, then it will be causing the processor. Then creation and termination of the process. So how to start and how to end. The life of the process is bounded by its creation and termination. Hence, here we will discuss these aspects. Process creation, when a new process has to be added to the job pool, the operating system builds the data structure for managing the process and allocates address space in the main memory. These actions form the creation of a new process. The situation that will lead to the process creations are listed in the table. So that's what here we can see the states, situations, and the description. So what is the situation? A new batch job. So the operating system provides with a batch job control stream, usually on a tape or a disk. When the OS is prepared to take one new network, it will read the next sequence of job control commands. An interactive logon, a user at the terminal logs on to the system. So created by a OS to provide a device. So the OS can create process to perform a function on behalf of user without the user having to wait. So then spanned by existing process for purpose of modularity or to exploit parallelism, a user program can dictate the creation of number of the processes. The reason for process termination, every process that is created will be terminated at some point of time. So at any time, at any given time, the process has to terminate because once it completes its job, it has to terminate. So that's what is a reason for process termination. Process termination, every process that is created will be terminated at some point of time. There are several reasons for a process to get terminated as a list, as given in the list. So maybe you want to terminate because you have completed your execution. That's what normal completion. And you have exceeded the time limit. So maybe the situation where you have to uh, come out of the CPU, or memory unavailable. Right now the memory is not available. Then also you have to end the process. Or bound values, you are bound to only this much you are, then also you have to. So some more options or reasons why you will be terminating the process. One is protection error, then arithmetic error, time overrun, input output failure, invalid instruction, privilege instruction, data misuse, operator or OS intervention, parent termination, and parent request. So these are the reasons for process termination. So then what is this process state? There are 5 stages in the process state. One is new, ready, running, exit, and blocked. So what is new? Initially started. So it is still waiting for its turn to come. So that's what here. Running is what? The process that is currently being executed. Then ready, a process that is ready to execute when given an opportunity. Then blocked or waiting, a process that cannot execute until some event occur like input output operation. New, blocked or await, a process that cannot execute until some event occur like input output operation. New, a process that has been created just now and not yet been put into the job pool by the operating system. So that is the process which has not yet been loaded into main memory. Then exit, a process that has been released from the job pool by the operating system, either because of some successful termination or due to abnormal termination. So these are the 5 states for the process. It can be in a running state, it can be in a ready state, or it can be in a blocked or waiting state, or it can be a new one, or it has completed and it can be in a state called as an exit. So these are the 5 processors which we are using to say what are the process states. So in the same process state, we are adding a block or a queue. One already we have seen with a single ready queue, but now we are adding one more where we can make the block as a waiting block, waiting queue. So where the process which has to wait will be in a blocked queue. So that's what is a, here in this case we can see there are two queues. One is ready queue, another one is a blocked queue. So then what is the admit? It will admit and dispatch. The processor, it will release or it will come to a timed out, or it will be a event wait or event occur. So that's what is a single blocked queue. So then what is multiple blocked queue? Ready queue, event 1 queue, event 2 queue, etc. to event qn. So that's what is a processor. So you can see to increase the execution of the process. So if we have multiple queues, then it will be easy for us to push all separate each languages or each process in a different queues. I may say C programs in Q1, Java programs in Q2, DS programs in Q3. Like this we can do. So that's what is called as a multiple blocked queues. So now how do we shift from one state to another state? That is what is a null to new. A new process is created for execution. This event may occur due to any reason listed in the table. So new to ready, the OS will remove a process from new state to ready when it is ready to take additional process. Generally, there will be a limit for a number of processes that can be kept on a queue so as to maintain the efficiency. Ready to running, a scheduler or dispatcher selects one ready process for the execution. One more, running to exist. Currently, running process is terminated by the OS. Running to ready, most of the OS has a limit for a time duration for which a running process can run continuously. After that, even if it is not completed, it has to leave the processor for other waiting process and has to enter a job queue. So that's what we have. We can see this is our the from one state to another state. Some more operations from which state to what. So now suppose if we are in a running state and a higher priority queue, a higher priority process has come, then we are shifting from running to a blocked state. So that's what here, running to blocked. If a process requests for some resources, then it will be kept in a blocked state. Blocked to ready. Once a process gets the requested resource and completes the task, using those resources, it can enter into ready state. Ready to exit, though this state is not shown in the diagram, it may occur. Sometimes a child process may be in a ready state and its parent may exit, then the child process also will be exited, or parent itself may terminate the child, or block to exit. A process may not get the resources that is requested, or it exceeds the waiting time. So we can see here suspended process. So suspended process, new, ready, running, exit, or suspended or blocked. So that's what is us. One more extra event we are adding here, that is what is called as a suspended process. So temporarily, maybe for some time, the process has to go to a suspended state. So extra thing. So when it is ready, when new, then ready, then it will go for running. If it is completed within the time limit or within that, then exit. If it is no, then it has to come for blocked, or it can go for ready, or it may be some more time waiting, then it can be pushed to a suspended state. That's what is a suspended process. So then in this case, we can see we are adding two more states, that is blocked, suspended, and ready or a suspended. So then in new, it can go to ready, or it can go for running and exit, or it can wait. That's what a blocked is. So again in blocked, maybe one more higher priority process has come, then it will go for a blocked or a suspended, or it can come for a ready or a suspended. That's what we can see with two suspended states. Reason for process suspension, why do we require for the process to be suspended? So one reason is swapping. So the operating system needs to release sufficient main memory to bring in a process that is ready to execute. Other OS reasons, OS suspends process of causing a problem. Interactive user request. User may wish to suspend a process to debug or in a connection with the use of resources. Timing. A process may be executed periodically and may be suspended while waiting for the next time slot. Or parent request. A parent process may wish to suspend execution of a child to examine or modify the suspended process, or to coordinate the activity of various child. So these are the reasons why the program or a process has to be suspended. Reasons why we may suspend when the operating system may suspend for some time. So these are the reasons. One is swapping, and the one is other OS reasons. Interactive user request, then maybe timing, then maybe a parent process request. Or reason for process suspension, these are the reasons for the process suspension. So then here we can see process description. So the process described, we may say here there are three processes, P1, P2 and P3. How do we describe all these process and which state it is? So P1 is requesting for processor and three input output, two input output and one main memory. You can see the line drawn and the processor. One line is drawn for the input output, one more line is drawn for the other input output, or one more for a main memory. So that's what a P1 is. Then what is P2? P2 is dotted line says that it is in a waiting or a blocked state. So input output is blocked or waiting to get free. And one more P2 is again pointing to a one more input output where it is free, so it is being used. And it is again pointing to a main memory where the main memory P2 is requesting for main memory. And the last PN is requesting for main memory, but it is in a blocked state. So this is what is a process description. And we have something called as a virtual memory and computer resources. How these computer resources are used with respect to a virtual memory. So this is about a process description. So in a multi-programming environment, there are a number of processes. So if we say multi-program, multi means what? Many. Programming, so we may use C, C++, Java, data structure, whatever it is. So then in a multi-programming environment, there are number of processors. That is P1 to Pn that have been created and exist in a virtual memory. Each process need to access system resources during its execution. In figure, process P1 is running. At least part of the process is in a main memory and it has control of two input output device. Then process P2 is also in main memory but is blocked waiting for an input output device allocated to P1. So the process Pn has been swapped out and is therefore suspended. So what is process control structure? So before we move on to a process control structure, we have to see what is allocation and process image. So what is process allocation? Before checking whether the process is located, we should understand the process image. And what is process image? Is a collection of user program, data, stack, and process control blocks as shown in the table. So we can see here elements and description. So what are the elements? User data, user program, stack, then process control block. So then what are the description? A modifiable user program, user stack area, and relevant data. What is user program? The program to be executed. So then what is a stack? Each process has a stack associated with it. It is used for storing parameters and calling addresses. Then process control block, collection of attributes needed by OS to control the process. So this is what is called as a process control structure. So what are the proper process attributes? The information required by OS about a process can be categorized as follows. Process identification, anything we need for identification. So in that case, we call it as a process identification. It is a unique number assigned every process. It includes identifier of this process, identifier of parent process, user identifier. That the processor state information consists of process registers like user visible register, control and status register, and a stack pointer. And one more, process control information includes the information like scheduling and state info, information, data structure, inter-process communication, process privileges, memory management, resource ownership and utilization. This is what is called as a process details and the attributes. So we can see here how the process user process in virtual memory. So process one, shared address space, private user address space, user stack, process control information, then process identification. This is about the process one. Then process two, share address space, private user address space, the program or data, then user stack, process control information, process state information, process identification. This is what is called as a process one and process two. And keeps on till n number of processors we may have. Then what is that shared address space? The space is being shared between all the processors, and you can declare whether it is a private, public, or protected based on the data and the program. So private users address space, even it will be secured so that no one can access that. That's what is a private. Then user stack, when we are doing some calculations, temporary memory is required. Then we are using a user stack. Then process control information. What is the control? How should I control which process, when to start, when to wait, when to make a process to running, or whether I have to make it as a suspended. All this information will be present in a process control information. Then process state information, whether the process is in a running state, wait state, or ready state, that information will be present in a process state information. Then process identification. So each one of the process to identify separately, a unique identity number will be there. So that's what is called as a process identification. How do we control the process? So then what is a process control? If the following sections, we will discuss how the operating controls the process. One is the mode of execution. Most of the processor supports two mode of execution, user mode and a system mode. What is user mode? User programs are executed in this mode and it is less privileged mode. Then the system mode, it is also known as control mode or kernel mode. It is more privileged mode. So we have a user mode and a system mode. So the OS and the important tables, process control blocks, etc. must be protected from interface of user program. Hence, two modes must be provided separately. Typical functions of OS kernel are process management, memory management, input-output management, and support functions like interrupt handling, accounting, etc. So this is what is called as a process control. And how do we create a process? When OS decides to create a new process, it does the following. What it will be doing? Assign a unique process identifier to the new process, allocate space for the process, initialize the process control block, set the appropriate linkage, create or expand other data structure. That's what is a process creation will be doing. So then what is process switching? Switching from one process to another process. Sometimes the OS will interrupt a running process and assign another process to running state. That is, OS switches the process. Table indicates few situations when the process switching occurs. So here we can see why the process has to be switched from one state to another state. So the mechanism for interrupting the execution of a process, mechanism, cause and a use. So then what is the interrupt? External to the execution of the current instruction, reaction to an asynchronous external event, trap, associated with the execution of the current instruction, handling of an error or an exception condition. Supervisor call, explicit request, call to an operating system function. So this is what is called as how the switching takes place from one system, one process to another process. So then change of the process state. Why do we change the process state? The steps involved in changing of the process state are as below. Save context of processor including program counter and other registers. Update the process control block of the process that is currently in the running state. Move process control block to appropriate queue or a ready, or a blocked or a ready to a suspended. Select another process for execution. Update the process control block of the process selected. Update memory management structure. Restore context of the selected process. So this is what is called as a change of process state. So now I'll stop here. So before stopping, let me summarize what did we do now. So we have started a revision for Unit 2. And what is a Unit 2? Unit 2 is a process management and mutual exclusion. So then we have seen what is a process. Process can be defined in several ways. One is execution, or it can be an instance. That is what is a process. Essentially, the process have two things. One is program code and set of data. Then what is process control block? Identifier, state, priority, program counter, memory pointer, context data, input output status information, then accounting information. This is what is called as a process control block. So then what is the activities when we want to identify uniquely? So we require identifier, state, priority, and program counter. Along with that, we require a memory pointer, context data, input output status information, and accounting information. So these are all required for a process control block. So then we have seen about a process state. What are the states of the process? And we have seen that there are two state process model. One is running and another one is a not running. So this is what the state transition diagram to check what are the two states. One is not running and another one is a running. So then we have one more thing called as a queuing diagram. So we have a separate queue uh, for the process to make wait, because when the processor is executing one process, the other process has to wait. Where it has to wait, it will be waiting in a queue. That's the reason we require a queuing diagram. So we have seen about creation and termination of the process. How do we create a process, and how and which situations we will get a process creation. Then we have a reasons for process termination. Why do we terminate the process? What are the reasons? We have just seen. And we have seen that for any process state, there are 5 states. One is new, ready, running, exit, and blocked state. And what is running, ready, blocked, or a wait, or a new and a exit? Then what is a single blocked queue? So we may have one more separate queue for all blocked processors to keep it in a queue called as a blocked state. So then in case to maximize or increase the optimization or process speed, we may use different queues for a different events. So then the process execution will be faster. So that's the reason we may use a multi-blocked queue. So then we have seen how, from one state to another state, how we are moving. That's what we have seen all this. And the suspended the process, we are adding one more extra block, and that we are calling it as a suspended. And here we have seen two suspended states where you can use one or two. And we have seen about the reasons for suspension. And we have seen what are the process description. So that is P1, P2, and keeps on Pn. And we have seen about process control structure. So this is what the process control structure is. That is process location, process image. Then what are the process attributes? Process identification, process state information, and process control information. And we have seen how the user processed in a virtual memory. Then we have seen about a process control. So what are the controls we require for the process? And we have seen about a process creation and process switching. How do we do a switching from one process to another process? Then we have seen a mechanism where the interrupts will be used, cause or a use. Changing of a process state, we have seen changing from one process state to another process state. So I'll just stop here. We'll continue in the next lecture.